our grad student. She's a PhD candidate in instructional, Jenny, what is it? I can never remember.
Learning, design, and technology.
Learning, design, and technology. They changed the name of what that degree is, and I can't remember the new name. And she is going to actually be teaching our PowerPoint design workshop tomorrow at 10 a.m. And Jenny, would you post the link for that in the chat so that if anybody's interested in signing up for that, they can. And Jenny's going to be kind of watching the chat along with Courtney, and they'll be able to read any questions. And if you want to just ask a question, you can feel free to do that.
And we are recording this, so we'll be able to send this out to you guys afterwards as well.
Thank you for remembering that, because I forgot. All right, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to be sharing in a couple of different ways. You may notice that I'm actually logged into the meeting twice. One of them is actually on my phone, and then the other is on the computer that I'm doing this Zoom chat on. And so I'll show you just a couple of different ways of connecting while you're here. All right, so you should be seeing my PowerPoint slides that are just open as you would normally see them. And so this is what I'm doing is I actually have two screens on my computer. I've got my laptop over here and a screen over here. I'm going to show you how things are going to look different for you based on whether you've got one screen or two screens, because that is something that a lot of us, you know, we have different setups. And actually, if you could put in the chat, actually we could, I'm going to try a poll because I had not planned on this. Oh, no, it won't let me because I'm logged in on my phone, I think. Courtney, could you actually set up the poll just in case I have any issues with it? And just say, do you have one monitor or two monitors?
I cannot do a poll.
Because you're not the host. Okay, never mind. All right. Well, we'll just skip that. And if you want to put it into the chat, if you have two monitors, because most people only have one. So if you've got two monitors, go ahead and put that in the chat. So right now, this is how my PowerPoint would look if I'm just editing it. When I go to the slide window and present to my students, the PowerPoint is actually going to show you the main screen. And then on my laptop, I actually still see my presenter view just like I would if I were in a classroom. So when you've got a second monitor hooked up, it works exactly the same way you do in the classroom. And we'll go over this a little bit more later in the presentation. But I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Laser pointers, sound, preview, subtitles, and a couple of little other tips. So you can actually do a laser pointer on your PowerPoint using the built-in tools of PowerPoint. So if you look down here to the bottom left, it's kind of hard because it's orange, but you may see me highlighting some tools down here. And if I click, and this is actually just a screenshot of what I'm doing right here. If I click, I can bring up the laser pointer and select laser pointer. So I just selected that on the menu. And now I can use my mouse as a laser pointer. So it's just a nice little way of showing the people in your class where your focus is on your PowerPoint. There's something else I'm going to go ahead and show. I tell you what, let me exit out of here because I want to turn this on for our entire thing. This is something I'm going to show you later on in the presentation, but I want to kind of have it working during the presentation. I'm going to turn on subtitles, and that little thing. And subtitles are an interesting little thing in PowerPoint that I'll go over more in just a minute, but I want to go ahead and turn these on so that you can see what they look like. So I'm going to say I'm speaking English, And I actually want it to not translate to another language. I'm just going to say English. So now when I go into present, you're going to actually see at the bottom of the screen what I'm saying. Now you'll notice this is not going to be perfect, but it is very helpful if my sound cuts out or if you're having sound issues. It's just a nice little helpful thing to do. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. So I've shown you the laser pointer. And now let's go and look at the sound settings. So if you have an embedded video in PowerPoint that you want to show people, you don't want the sound to be coming over your speakers by playing it as if you're just speaking it. You want the sound to play directly through the computer. And so one of the things that you want to do is when you go to the share screen button in Zoom, you're actually going to want to make sure that you select this little icon here that says share computer sound. That will let you share your computer sound over your computer directly. It's not going to be that kind of weird echoey sound. So when you play your video, it should sound a little bit better. So here's a little video that I use in our best practices for presentations, and we'll cross our fingers and hope that you can actually hear this really well. So were you able to hear that better than if it was coming over my direct speakers? Does that make sense?
I don't hear anything.
We didn't hear anything, Rachel.
Oh no.
No. I thought it
All
was
right,
me.
hold on a second. Let me make sure I actually did that when I shared the screen. I didn't. Hey, that's a good example. I forgot to check the I forgot to check that box when I shared the screen. So let's go ahead and play that one more time. That's hilarious.
Others, well, let's just say they're works in progress. This is
Able to
Powerful
hear it now?
Presentations, simply stated. Meet Jim, an aspiring.
All right, so you were able to hear that now?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's actually one of those good, you always remember by making the mistake. So just kind of keep that in mind that you do need to check that whenever you're doing it, because if you don't check it, they're not going to hear your video and then they're going to be confused. Okay, so here's where we go into the one monitor or two monitors and how things look. And I realized it was going to be hard to show this to you because I can't really share at the same time two things. So I just wanted to kind of take a screenshot and let you see what it's going to look like. If you have two monitors, it's going to look almost exactly like you've got when you're in your classroom. You're going to have your preview on one monitor and you'll have what the students see on the other monitor.
Rachel, I have a couple questions. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm trying to keep up.
No, that's fine.
So we're going to share the PowerPoint with everyone, correct?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. There was a question about not seeing the laser pointers or subtitle features in the Mac version of PowerPoint.
Okay, so that's the laser pointer is in a different spot on the Mac. Courtney, can you tell me where that spot is on the Mac?
Let me pull up PowerPoint real quick because I don't remember off the top of my head.
While Courtney's doing that, I'm going to share some advice Michelle shared in the chat about the laser pointer, to be aware that to choose colors, don't use red and green because those are colors used in combat and can be a trigger. Just a reminder. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, and actually the red is also not a very good color. The laser pointer color, I don't think you can change the color of the laser pointer. Not easily anyway. No, it's letting me change the color of the pen, but it does not let me change the color of the laser pointer.
Okay.
So that is something to keep in mind, that if you've got somebody that you know might have an issue, you may not want to use that.
The laser pointer in the Mac feature is down under the pencil down at the bottom there when you're presenting as well. And actually in the Mac, you have 3 color choices. You have got red, green, or blue.
So the Mac is nicer than the PC on that.
So now the question about the subtitles on a Mac, one of the keys here is it depends on which licensed version of Word or of PowerPoint you're using. Campus has access to 2 versions. You've got the volume license download that we get from the download software site. And then we've got the Office 365 license, which is one you would download from office365.utk.edu. For whatever reason, Microsoft has decided not to allow the subtitles in the volume license, but only in the Office 365 license version. So it's a weird issue, but the help desk can help you get that switched over to use the 365 license version.
Yeah, and if you want to keep the other version, you can always save your PowerPoint up to Office 365 and present from there. And so then you'll have the subtitles when you're in Office 365. You just wouldn't if you're presenting from your app on the desktop.
And Rachel, Diana has a question before we move on. When she is in PowerPoint full screen present mode, she is unable to see the participants or the box, if you know, the chat box, when she's in the Zoom session. Do you have any advice on that?
So that is, I'm gonna unplug my monitor here so that I can kind of show it a little bit better. And I tell you what, I'm going to stop the screen share and I'm going to re-share my screen so that I can kind of show you how that would look. So on the screen, I'm still presenting and you should see the main screen here. But yeah, you're right. You don't really see the chat at all. I can look and see if I can find it. And then under your menu that, I tell you what, I'm going to take a screenshot of this so that I can show you what it would look like. So let me escape out of this. End that slideshow and I want to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this menu here. So all right, so here's a screenshot that I just took of the menu that you actually don't see in PowerPoint. This little 44 over my more, that is where the chats are. So you can see that there's actually 44 different chats. So if you see that number kind of going up, then you may want to just kind of open that up and see what the chats are looking like. But yeah, the chats don't just, they're not just automatically popped up on top of your PowerPoint when you're sharing. So if I go to share again though, I have popped my floating on top of my screen because I popped the chats out. And I wish there was a way for me to screenshot this that you could see here. Let's try this. Let's go to print screen and exit. And I'm just going to do a new slide and paste that in. Okay. There we go. Where did I paste that screenshot in there? Okay, so on the screenshot that I just pasted, you can see that what I did was I just had a pop-up of all of my chats. And so I've got my floating toolbar, I've got my chats on top of that screen. It gets a little bit covered up a lot, especially if you're doing all of the subtitles and having the image of the people on the side and having the chat. But it is possible to have your chats floating on there. You just have to pop it out with that little more button that is over here. And
Rachel,
yeah, it's the
one
more
thing
button.
that you can do is if you go to your slideshow tab in PowerPoint and go under Setup Show, one of the options under Setup Show is browse by an individual, and it actually puts your PowerPoint in just a window, so you can still have that as a window and not as a full thing. Now, it won't show your notes or anything like that, but if you want to do that so you still can have the chat and things like that up on the screen, you can do it in a windowed version.
Yeah, and so this is where he's talking about right here, this menu next to custom slideshow is setup show right there. And it just depends on how you want to do it. Now, I end up, because I have two monitors, I usually make it in full, but if you've only got the single, then yeah, that setup show would be a really good idea to do. Do we have any more questions about how it looks different with one monitor versus two?
I don't think so. I believe we answered all of them. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to speak up.
Okay, and I'm gonna plug in my other monitor again just because it's a little easier for me to see it. All right, so move the Zoom over here. And I'm going to be hopping in and out of sharing screens quite a little bit today. So I just kind of wanted to let you know about that. And it's going to take it a little bit. There we go. We've got it set up again.
Rachel, there's a question. Is there another way to turn off presenter mode on two screens besides using a window?
Turn off presenter mode on two screens. Oh, you mean so that you have the same view as what your folks are seeing?
Robin, do you want to clarify that?
So when I'm in presenter mode, PowerPoint is taking up both of my screens, and I no longer have any Zoom controls. I don't have a good space for chat. And so I just want to see it on the one screen that I'm sharing, and then have my other monitor for bringing up other things.
Okay, let's play with that for a second. So on, let me bring this back up without sharing first. Okay, so on the screen, you want to be able to show I'm trying to think how to do that because PowerPoint automatically extends your desktop whenever you go to do the slideshow. And the only thing I can think of for doing is you could Alt-Tab. Are you on a PC or a Mac?
Mac.
Okay, so on a Mac, it's not Alt-Tab, it's Command-Tab to switch, Courtney?
Yes, Command-Tab to switch.
Okay, so on the Mac, what you could do is you could have your Zoom on one side and you could go ahead and do your presentation where it extends your desktop and it shows the students the screen that you're sharing, and then hit Command-Tab and it should bring you back to Zoom on that other page. So if I'm going to be in my presentation, and let me go ahead and share it again. And I'm going to be sharing I think I may have damaged my monitor here, plugging it in too many times. if I go to share that monitor, you
There's
should
a-
be able to command tab back and forth between the two.
Matthew shared, Rachel, that you can go to PowerPoint Preferences slideshow and uncheck the always start presenter view with two, just lost it, with two displays.
Okay, yeah, that's something that you could definitely do. That's a really good thing. Thank you. And let me see if I can share this now. My screen decided to die on me, of course.
And then we also have, if it's a Mac, if you're on a Mac, go to PowerPoint Preferences, Output, and Sharing slideshow.
Okay, good.
But then Matthew tested it out and said that when he changed the settings, it didn't work. So
it didn't work when you tested it out.
But maybe we can have some other people try that.
Yeah, we can definitely test that and see. Me unplugging and plugging in my screen so often has kind of messed my share up a little bit here. Okay, I think we've got it now. Nope, it's showing the wrong one. So let me move this over here. Yeah, I think I have messed up my Zoom because I've unplugged and plugged in the screen so often. But I'm going to go ahead and I think those suggestions are really good, but you could definitely play with it and see what ends up working for you in how you do that. You guys are only seeing my blue. There we go. You're seeing that now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of simplify this a little bit. I did show you how to turn on the subtitles, but that is underneath the slideshow and only in Office 365 and or the version of Office 365 that you download. That's one of the things about PowerPoint that Jenny's going to talk about tomorrow, is that there are different versions of PowerPoint. It looks, depending on if you have the version of PowerPoint that desktop support installed on your computer, or you've got a version that you've downloaded from Office 365, it's going to look different. If you're on a Mac or a PC, it's going to look different. So one of the things that Courtney and I ask when we are helping people with PowerPoints or Word or Excel, when you call the help desk, is, can you tell us what version you are running? Because in Excel, there's going to be different functions that are available only in certain versions. In PowerPoint, there's different features. So some of these features are only available in the version that you're showing. Especially in the workshop that Jenny is doing tomorrow, there's several features that she's going to kind of show you a workaround for how to do that. But the subtitles is a really good thing to use for quick translations. If you are in a really large classroom and you're not sure if the folks in the far back are able to hear what you're saying, but it's not an accessibility issue. If you've got someone who actually needs help with accessibility for hearing, don't use the closed captions don't use subtitles as closed captions. They're just not good enough. So talk to Eric Moore in OIT. He is our accessibility person and can help you with that. We have a program that he has access to it, that we can provide you with subtitles, especially, or closed captions, especially if you're going to be doing any recording. If you're going to record your presentation, use Eric's services. Don't use the subtitles for recording. These are just a nice little feature that's handy. And one of the things I want to show you with this is, I kind of touched on it earlier when I originally set this up, is you can actually see that I could choose different languages to translate into. So I could speak English, and then if I've got a student who speaks another language in my class, and I could actually translate for them into that other language. Courtney's wife is a high school teacher, and she will often have students. She had someone, it was Vietnamese last year, wasn't it? Yeah, and so the student barely spoke English, and his wife used this as a way to translate what she was saying into Vietnamese. Now, it is not perfect. We were playing with this in a workshop earlier in spring, and I think we translated into Bulgarian or some language. And when Courtney was describing his wife as a high school teacher, the person started laughing and said, "Oh, it just said your wife is a saint." And so it was accurate, but not exactly the way we expected it to be. So this is just kind of a cool little feature that is available, but don't depend on it for accessibility. All right, I'm going to see if I can actually.
I put Eric Moore's contact information in the chat. Someone had asked for that.
Okay, all right, that's good.
And we had a couple questions about, what version of PowerPoint would you suggest then? If Tracy wondered about the best version. Is there a best version?
That is totally up to you. So the nice thing about, and Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong, because he's our official office person, and he knows more about our licensing. But the thing that is nice about the version that Desktop Support installs for you is that's the version Desktop Support does for you, and so you don't have to. And there aren't a lot of changes to it. Office 365, Microsoft does a lot of changes to it, and so sometimes you'll have new features that are really cool, but maybe they're new features that are also a little. Also, if you are sharing the document with somebody else, it might be a good idea to make sure it's a feature that they have access to. So especially if you're going to collaborate with people, just find out who has what version of the software, and just be aware that there are some features that aren't going to work. So subtitles is one that only works in 365. The feature that Jenny's going to show us tomorrow about setting waypoints in your presentation so you can present non-linearly, that is only available in the downloaded app, I think.
Yes.
Thank you. And so there's just different features that depending on what you want to use would be the one that you use. So there's really no correct answer. It's just up to you and what you like. All right, so we are actually to the end of the PowerPoint part, but I wanted to show you a couple of little things, because one of the things that folks want to do with PowerPoint is you want to be able to annotate, and you want to be able to also have whiteboarding features when you're teaching. And so if you go back to that little menu where you found the laser pointer, there is a pen feature and a highlighter feature there. And you can, if you've got, good skills with your mouse or your trackpad. So it's not something you can really do very easily on a, just writing on the computer, or, unless you've got a Surface or an iPad or something like that. So I do want to show Office 365 Whiteboard to you guys. And on the Office 365 whiteboard, it still hasn't, there it is. So on the Office 365 whiteboard, you've got all these different apps, and you might see whiteboard here if you have already played with it, but if you have not, click on the all apps, and then these are all the different apps that you have access to through Office 365, and you can just select whichever one it is that you're interested in. And so I'm going to just say whiteboard. And you can, the nice thing about the whiteboards, you can see that we were playing with them, is you can add in pictures, you can have collaborators on this. So if I want to share this, I can invite by email, I can create a sharing link. So I could send an email to anybody that I needed to. Usually what I end up doing is just doing a sharing link and send the link that way to someone. But you can write with your mouse on this. It's got different features depending on if you are in Office 365 or if you go ahead and download the app. And I think you can only, Courtney, have they changed it so you can have the app on a Mac? Okay, so you still only have the app for the PC?
Yep, the app's only on the PC. They have not released
Okay.
a download version for the Mac yet.
All right, so it is a little bit more robust for Windows people, but it is, you know, at no additional cost to you, there is a whiteboard app that's built into Office 365. That being said, I prefer writing on document camera, you know, having a piece of paper on a document camera in my classroom. And so what I want to show you is a way to make your phone into a document camera. And if you want help with this, you can definitely call the help desk or send email to me. I'm also going to write up a little bit of instructions for our June newsletter. So if you have not signed up for our monthly newsletter, you can go to oit.utk.edu/news. And you'll see the instructional and research support newsletter there. And it comes out in the first week of the month. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to start sharing with my phone. And what I've done is I have just clicked on the same invitation link to Zoom from my phone. And let me kind of show you what it looks like. So on the phone, I get a little menu that I can click for share. And then I have a choice of what I want to share. And the first time that you set this up, you actually have to give it permission just the way you would for recording your screen. And what it does is it gives you a little option of the different things you're going to use. And then I'm going to just say, start with Zoom. Before it does it, and then it shares my screen. And I have told it to share my screen. It's a little bit slow, but you can see, so if I have any apps that I want to be able to share with folks, I've got those apps. And then I can also share my camera. And what I'm doing, I've set up some of my son's books with a little Gorilla Glue here. And you can see this is very choppy, partly because my son is on Netflix, my husband, and I'm logged in twice on a Zoom meeting right now. So it's a little bit choppy, but you can set it up. And it's not perfect, but you can definitely play with this. And I have found that it works best if you use a Sharpie or some other dark colored thing. And also if you have a big desk, like my desk is pretty tiny, but you can add, you know, if a math formula or there's just something that you really want to be able to draw for your people in your class, have the Sharpie and just have a piece of paper. And that is giving you the effect of a document camera at home, even though, how do you hold the phone steady while writing? So I've done it a couple of different ways. Right now, I'm actually just kind of holding it with my finger. I've also sandwiched it between a couple of books. And if I had heavier books, I could probably sandwich it a little bit better. I just grabbed this pile of Jack Stalwart and Captain Underpants books this morning, so that's what I had. And yes, you can. A lot of people don't have an iPad, but everybody has a phone, or almost everybody has a phone. And so it actually works better with the iPad because you can study it a little bit better than you can. If you have an iPad, though, you could just connect the iPad directly and then use the iPad with a whiteboard feature also. So the phone, you can do that as well, but you're using your finger to write. And so I've the phone before I'm having to scroll it to a different part of the whiteboard, and it just felt it was more trouble than it was worth. The iPad, it lets you be a little bit you can use that for documenting. You could even put your PowerPoint on your iPad and use the annotation on the iPad to do it that way.
I have a question about how to tether the iPad to your computer, that there's a software perhaps for that.
So Zoom has a way that you can tether it, but it works better if you're on a Mac than it does a Windows machine to do that. And the way that I am connecting is I'm just logged in as myself to the Zoom meeting. So I'm actually logged into this meeting twice. I don't think you can do that unless you're the host, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, if I wanted to use my Mac, then I would just, I'm sorry, if I wanted to use my iPad, then I would just log in to the Zoom meeting from the iPad. You do So tether means so Keith says he's logged in twice. Good. So tether means that you are physically connecting your phone to your computer with a cable. The way I'm connected is I'm actually just wirelessly, I'm logged in to Zoom on my phone and connecting that way. And no, I'm logged in with the same username and same password. I've noticed that if I go to log in on Zoom on another laptop, it does want to log me off, but I'm able to log in on both my phone and my computer at the same time. Does that kind of make sense for everybody? So I'm going to turn this off. Okay. But yeah, if you wanted to see what this setup looked like, I'll just show it really quickly. I have my books and I have my paper right down there, and I'm just writing around the books. The trouble with the iPhone on Zoom is that it requires you to stay in that long portrait mode. Even if you flip it over into the landscape mode, it still wants you to see it as the portrait mode. So that's one reason that I had to have the books here instead of to the side, which would have been really nice. But you know, that's just something, and I'm going to actually hang up on that Zoom call because that might help make my connection a little bit better. But you can, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but at least you get the same feeling as you would if you were on a document camera in your classroom. And that might actually be something that's helpful come fall, if you are needing to teach to, you know, some of your students in person and some of your students who are on Zoom. You would be able to set your phone up like this and just kind of have a document camera that everybody would be able to see, because you could connect your phone to the classroom as well as over Zoom.
We have a question, Rachel, and I think we do have information on how to do this through TLI, but Bruton would like to know how to provide summer students with instructions for how to create a small Zoom meeting with 3 to 4 students so that they can do a group PowerPoint presentation, taking turns talking and presenting, and submit it to Canvas. And I know there was a guide created for TLI. I'm not sure if it goes through recording though, but we could probably get that information.
I believe that there's information on recording Zooms through the Canvas and Zoom group, and it would be the same for students. So as long as the student logs in using their UT NetID account. So this is the confusing thing for a lot of folks, is when you go to log into Zoom, you've got this big username and password section. And if you put that in there, it actually creates a non-UT account for you using your UT information. In order to log in through UT, you have to click the little button that says SSO, which is single sign-on. That redirects you to the UT login, and then that uses your UT account, which lets you have more, a longer period of time for how long you can be in the meeting, and more people that you can have in the meeting. It also means that if you have set your Zoom up so that only UT people can get into it, then it prevents anybody who does not have the UT credentials from logging in. So that's, if you need help with that, I would put in a question with the help desk, and they would send you over to the Zoom group, and they can help you with that. But as long as what they do is they just log in using their UT account, they should be able to record it as a group themselves. And then you can actually record your Zoom meeting either to your computer or to the cloud. And if you record it to the cloud, you get a link that I think is good for 30 days, but I could be wrong because it's different. You know, it depends on what our contract is, and the folks in the Zoom, the Zoom group would be able to answer that specifically.
So do you
I just
recommend?
posted a link out there of the Zoom article on recordings that might be able to help you, Randy.
We also had a question about breaking the class into groups, and when they do, the instructor breaks the class into groups on Zoom, they can't see the PowerPoint. So same thing, do a help ticket.
Yeah, that would be a help desk ticket with the Zoom group. And this workshop is not part of the Vol Boot Camp. So if you guys have signed up for Vol Boot Camp, this is not one of those workshops. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that this is a separate workshop just for PowerPoint over Zoom. Mary Lee is Mary Lee Stewart is the person who is our main Zoom person. So if you send in a request over the help desk, they'll assign it to her or one of the folks that she's got helping her, because I know they've expanded a whole lot in the last couple of months with who is supporting Zoom. But as far as I understand, the groups that you have access to, those are supposed to be more like kind of private groups. So if you've got students that you need to break into small groups to work on a project together so that they can collaborate, you would put them into a group. And then when you're ready for them to look at your PowerPoint again, you have to pull them back out of the group in order to let them see that. But the Zoom folks would be able to answer that question better.
Okay, because just as a follow-up to that, I was looking at the link, Courtney, that you sent, and it's like this kind of information seems to be, but we're looking for how to communicate the way that students are going to be logging in. So it's like I don't know what the student logins look like.
They would be the same. For the Zoom portion of it, it's exactly the same. So their Zoom client is the same as our Zoom client, so there's no worries there. But we can look at it and we can work with our Canvas folks and make sure that we can get some instructions on how students can upload those recorded videos into Canvas.
Yeah, okay.
And they probably already have that because students uploading video into Canvas is something that they have been showing people how to do for quite a while now. So I bet they already have that. But yeah, the experience for everybody on campus is identical when it comes to logging into Zoom.
Well, but at least
And Jenny,
in the
did you
spring,
just post?
we've had students trying to upload various kinds of videos, and we've had a variety of problems with trying to get videos uploaded to Canvas. And so we're still trying to figure out exactly what the cause is for some of those problems. It's not just, oh, you shoot it in Zoom and record it, and it just magically appears and it just works. It's great when it works, but when students are submitting a recording for a grade, it's got to work, and it doesn't always. And so we just need to make sure that we're providing clear.
Yeah, I think that
that
those folks tend to
consistently
say
work.
studio. Yeah, I think talking about using Studio a lot instead of uploading directly to Canvas, uploading to Studio. But that would definitely be a question for the Canvas and Zoom group.
Well, I mean, and uploading videos from your studio group, from your studio area, has its own series of problems as well, especially when you're trying to link it to another section or another course. And so
I found a page out there that they've actually created inside Canvas of how students are supposed to upload videos and audio files. So that might help. But if you guys are running into issues, please let us know and we can work on this with you guys.
I think it's very easy to upload a video from Studio. You can create the video directly from the assignment or from a discussion forum. When you press that you want to create a video, you have the option of creating it in Studio while you are still in your assignment or discussion board. It's very easy and it works very well. I had been experimenting with a discussion forum to answer back and forth with videos because I teach languages. Works very well. So you just need to play a little bit and get help from somebody at OIT, but works excellent.
Okay, do we have any other questions that might be able to help you with?
We just have a comment about embedding videos in PowerPoint, that there are some issues for that. Do we have any recommendations?
The students have issues embedding the PowerPoint?
Yeah, trying to embed the videos into PowerPoint.
Oh, embed the videos into Power, okay. So are they, so if they're trying to attach the PowerPoint in, yeah. So if the video that they're doing is a YouTube video, then they could include that pretty easily and then just upload it. But if it's a video that's on their computer, they would have to do a second step where they're taking that video and connecting it to the PowerPoint, and in essence they're sending both.
Yeah, because Michelle mentioned that it's getting the video to actually play, or when they upload them to Canvas, like trying to get it as a package and everything is working properly once it's uploaded to Canvas.
Okay. I think we could probably find some instructions on how to connect how to include that video, and then we'll probably need to talk to the Canvas folks, because I don't know if there are any limitations on file size when you're sending it up to Canvas. Do you know anything about that, Courtney?
I'm not sure about file size limitations. I know in previous versions of PowerPoint, I was just trying to find it on my Mac version, and it might be a PC only, that you used to be able to package a PowerPoint for distribution. I'm not finding it right off the bat here. I'll look and see if it's still out there someplace. But that's how it would take those videos and actually embed them into the PowerPoint file.
Tracy mentioned that once you open PowerPoint, it will ask to embed contents, and you just have to say yes. And it should work. But you have to say yes, you would like to embed the contents if there's a video.
Yeah, we'd have to make sure that embed, because sometimes PowerPoint, when it's talking about embed, it just means having the video play within the PowerPoint, but you still have to include that file on the back end unless they've changed it and now it's automatic. And that could be if that's what Tracy is talking about. But yeah, what we can do is we can look into that, and I'll see if we can get some instructions on that and send that in the email to everybody, along with the link for this video, some suggestions on that.
We have a question, or can we please request that Canvas, Zoom, and PowerPoint work together to create resources for our students to be able to do this well, where it works every time? This is from Michelle.
Do you mean the companies work together?
Probably us.
The three groups in OIT. Oh, we actually, well, Canvas and Zoom are the same group. Those are the same folks. And we are a separate group, but we used to work just down the hall from them. So we actually do work with them a lot. But because all of us have so much to support, you know, I use Zoom, but I cannot claim to be an expert on it the way Mary Lee is, who that's 40 hours of her week that she does. So we do work together, and, you know, we try to get everything, you know, but each of us has our moving part that we do. So yeah, the Canvas and Zoom folks, that's actually the same group in OIT. And we're the training group, and we usually take care of the office part of it. But yeah, we'll what I was trying to say earlier was we'll get with some of the Canvas folks, and when I send that link out later, I'll try to get some instructions on this. And I don't know if you guys are aware that OIT has a knowledge base. If you go to our website and on the search button, you just type in knowledge base, you can go there and then type in your question and what it is that you're looking for help on. And that has a lot of information that has just been put in there that may not be linked directly off the website. It's, you know, because it's just kind of a, oh, somebody asked this question, we made the instructions on it, but it's not a question that we get all of the time, or it's something that we need to refer back to fairly often. We do link to it. But if you go to OIT's site, search for knowledge base, you can then search the knowledge base directly to see if there are any things that might help you with that. And there's a ton of Zoom information on the knowledge base. Someone says not letting me include my screenshot. Yeah, we had it set up for not having other people include things. One of the things that we've been testing on the Zoom safety. So I know that a lot of you probably need to get going. We've got about 4 more minutes until 11 o'clock, and we'll definitely stay around. But does anybody else have a question? All right, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I wish you luck in everything you're doing. If you do need any help, we are more than happy to do one-on-one Zoom consultations with you. And so if you want to test anything out, see, you know, if you just want somebody on the other end to say, hey, what are my students seeing? We can definitely join you one-on-one, and we can have you test stuff out. Sometimes it's better if you're the host and we're the guest, so that you can really see all the features that you've got. But we're very happy to help you test out your PowerPoints or anything like that. So feel free to contact help.utk.edu, and you can request a one-on-one consultation for PowerPoint, or I'll throw Courtney an advertisement for clickers. And if you need any help at all, just ask for a consultation. We'd be very happy to do it. One of the 3 of us would connect with you.